Welcome to the WriteNow Writers Group, meeting number 5. If you're a writer and you're looking for motivation, or you just want to come chat, come hang out, or come hop on us with the stream, we're doing this weekly writers group where we meet every single week at this time to just talk about our writing and to maybe procrastinate a little bit. But we'll see how it goes. So if you're looking for help with your story, or you're just needing that like once a week thing, this is a virtual writers group to help give you that support and assistance you need if you're trying to figure out how to get through your story and really find the right motivation. Beautiful. I'm Kauffman, and this is the WriteNow community. I'm on a mission to help writers across the world, show them that the entire writing process, brainstorming, writing, and editing can be both fun and easy with the right framework. So come join the WriteNow community. We got things going on every single day. All right, beautiful. And then with that introduction, I'm going to bring up some of our friends onto the community. And let's see, welcome. Here we go. Let's welcome everyone to the stream. Welcome, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
And what's up, ML? Welcome to the stream, my friend. So I'm really happy to have each of you guys here. I know, obviously, Sol, you've been with me most of our meetings. And for those of you guys who missed out last week, Sol is a beast with word count. we learned that we were doing our word sprints last week, our writing sprints, and we finished the first one, and we're like, all right, how many words did you get? I definitely did not get distracted because I only did 5. And so it was like 800. And then she has 700. So it was like 900.
Nice.
So then the chat gave Sol a nickname of Cat Sol. But for why don't you guys, each of you give yourself a quick little intro and a little bit about ourselves. We're welcoming Crazy into the stream. Glad to have you here, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Beautiful. So why don't you guys just share like who you are and then what are we working on today?
I'm Penelope Hartley. I have nothing planned. Absolutely nothing. I don't know. Maybe I'll
call the universe to me.
I will stream something from the great streamer in the sky, and they will put it in my noggin, and I will put it into word speak. We'll try that first.
Nice.
It's okay, Penelope. That's kind of my trend for the next couple of weeks. I'm
Yeah,
like, what are you writing
you-
today?
Yeah.
I'm not writing. I'm technically editing. So I mean, planning. I'm planning. I'm not even editing yet.
I'm sure I have plenty to write.
I know, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll kick it over to you.
Well, I'm Sol, and yeah, apparently I'm known as Chat Sol now, which I still laugh at.
Yeah, that's right.
If we ever need motivation, we go to Chat Sol. Better than Chat GBT.
But this today I'm working on my latest One Piece fanfiction still. Kind of slowed down this week because of school. I'm getting ready to graduate, but no, I'm making myself sit down and work on this tonight. I promise I will finish this chapter.
Or else the last thing I'll ever do. Perfect. And then Crazy, what about you, my man?
I'm Crazy Root Beer. Hello. And right now I am working on a 3rd book of a series I've been doing with the first book had vampires and werewolves. The next one had angels and demons. This one just mostly for the most part has aliens in it. And it's just got multiple heroes and villains along the way of this long journey that I'll be on of multiple books, and it all just goes up and down and everywhere.
The true process of a writer. I love it.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever considered putting into the same story the 2 words, vampires and aliens. I think I'm very intrigued.
Don't worry, I'm sure a lot of people will like it when future books come out.
Ooh, that's
I
exciting.
like it already. Like, yeah,
we're
I'm all
already
for
intrigued.
it.
I have a massive plan already figured out in here. I just got to write it all down.
I like it.
So, as I was kind of thinking about today, and I know we were talking a little bit before the stream, but it sounds like, or something that really came to mind, is it sounds like we've all been dealing with different types of obstacles that have prevented us from writing. So I thought it was like, what a great conversation to start off with. What things have made it difficult for you guys to write lately, or maybe the past couple of months, and let's have a conversation about it. Because as always, I always want to try to bring value to talk through strategies.
Yeah.
Me?
I know for myself, like, I mean, you guys see me every day. I think for me that the challenge is trying to get into like the writing mindset every single day if I'm not already in it, or if let's say I'm like working with like a client, or let's say I'm doing something outside of work, and then trying to always reframe myself into it at times can be challenging.
True.
Yeah. Definitely
Especially if I don't feel super creative.
Yeah, I think that
Everybody has those days.
Yeah,
I know, right? The only difference is I have to have those days live streaming every single day regardless.
that's actually
It's
the
better committed
best thing
to.
to do for it. I am my biggest problem when it comes to writing because I'm a full-time writer.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time to figure out how to sit down and be a full-time writer. And yeah, you don't feel creative. You don't feel like you know what you're going to do with your next, plot. You don't know what this character is going to do. And a lot of it is just sitting down and like making yourself type things out. Like
It's literally that. It's literally just go type things out.
it really is. Like, I mean, like it sounds so simple, but the
Mhm.
excuses that creative brains come up with not to just do the thing. And I think that like I appreciate that creativity needs a lot of elbow room to
Mhm.
really grow and play because there's that sense of playfulness with it and everything. So I think that the biggest thing that is to kind of combine those two and sit down and make yourself type something, but it can be gobbledygook. And eventually, like I'll start out somewhere weird. My next writing prompt is going to be vampires and aliens, and then I'll end up eventually winding back down into my story and then going along my way. So like, yeah, I mean, it's a matter of just trying to figure out how to get over being not in the mood. Because
I think that's the challenge. Because I think every writer knows, right? I think we all know. We've seen a million videos and articles of like, how do you write a book successfully? Just write, be consistent. Like we've all heard that advice, but like, is it? I try to think. Do you guys think it's the mindset that holds a lot of writers back? Like, oh, I don't feel creative, so I could sit down and write, or I could go watch the next episode of Netflix.
Netflix and chill.
I think
Exactly.
I think that's actually a little bit part of it. Is for some people they lack the creativity in the moment, so it is not as fun to sit down and write. And then I think for some people it's more of a block of not creativity, but not having the correct motivation to actually finish your work. So even if you're being creative enough, what's your outcome? Are you wanting to publish your book, and is it taking too long? Are you wanting viewers to actually read your books, but you're not getting a lot? I mean, there's a lot of things that can really block all that. I know for myself lately, well, no, I'm in school. I'm focused on homework. I'm getting ready to graduate, so it's like I have to focus on that, and I can't sit down and write like I've been doing for like 2.5 months, because if I don't, well, yeah, no, I'm not losing my GPA over that.
Yeah, I think that's always interesting, right? So I think that there's times where like if we're busy, right? We got life, and especially if you're not like a full-time author or writer, right? And maybe you have your student 9-to-5 job, you got family responsibilities, whatever. Then it means that you write when you have time to pursue it as a hobby, or a lot of times that ends up being like, okay, I write when I'm feeling creative.
My biggest,
no, go for it.
My biggest struggle, besides what Soul said, was that yeah, I do have problems with, if I, let's say, write several books and nobody reads them, it's like, well, then what's the point at this point? And my other one is that I can picture what I want to have in my mind of what a certain person does, but it's like, how do I even put that to paper? How do I put that to my computer?
That makes sense.
So through that theory, do you think that it becomes then it's a lack of motivation, or it's a lack of like, hey, I know what I want to do generally, but I'm just not sure how to go about this portion of it?
It's a bit of both because, like you said, I don't know how the idea of how I would do this, but then after thinking about it a little while, when I come back to it to actually type it up, it's like, you know what? I'm not in the mood to type this. Let's go watch some YouTube now.
I totally get that. Let's go watch YouTube videos about how to stay motivated to write.
Yes.
We have all been here. If you're here in the stream right now and you're joining us, what usually prevents you from writing? Are there any obstacles that you've been dealing with lately? I would love to hear. Drop a comment. Let's see. I know. Let's see. Courtney was saying my biggest struggle this week has been so motivated to write, but my hand was so swollen I couldn't. Aw. Well, I think if you have like a physical obstacle, that's probably a little bit more of a straightforward, like your hand's swollen, like that's probably a tough one. Yeah.
Actually,
Penelope, you muted.
one thing that you could do with that is a speech to text.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? You said speech to text? Yeah, I've seen that actually. I've seen that as a recommendation from a couple writers before. I forgot. I think Stephanie is one of the ones who does it. And their word count, they're able to get like 2 to 3 times their consistency on word count because they use speech to text. And then it also helps minimize that, especially if you're like busy dealing with other things, and you can almost multitask a little bit faster.
That actually doesn't work that well. At least not with writing.
YouTube motivation. Okay, once upon a time there's a story. Pause. YouTube motivation video.
I mean, I listen to music while I write, and that's not distracting. I mean, granted, actually, that is not multitasking to me. Crazy knows this because we've known each other for years. I'm a singer, and I will sing while I write, but to me, that's not multitasking. That is literally doing what I do. But I know, like, I've tried. Yeah, I see that, bud. But I mean, I've tried. But I can't help right now. Yeah, sorry, my kid. But I mean, I've tried taking a call while I'm writing, and I have to focus on the call. I have had my kid, and I have to pay attention to him and not my writing, which I'm not going to complain about that, of course. Just there are some things you can multitask with, but most things you really can't, because even if it feels like you're getting more done, no, you're actually doing a lot less than you think, and it is very annoying.
I could say that.
There's oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say there's a cool statistic that because I took half of a soul session, which is 350 words, I think, because you did 720 minutes. So half a soul session, right? 350 words. One half a soul.
Guys, we're no longer doing writing sprints.
We're doing, it's a full soul, a half a soul. So if you do that, if you write 350 words 2 out of every 3 days, and if you write 350 words for 230 days straight, you can get an 80,000 word novel out of that. So I know that there's a lot of, like, when you're busy, I'm a procrastinator. I have the opposite problem. But when you're busy and you can only pick away at your manuscript, You would be surprised. Yes, it's like 200 days. It's like 2/3 of it, or a third of. I don't know math things. It's around a year, but less. Um, you can pick a way at it and get a novel like an 80,000 word manuscript in less than a year, just at half a soul speed.
I was like, I don't know if I can work at the speed of soul, but I know for a fact that last Scarecrow, I started it on day 1 of this challenge, so that was January 1st, and I finished it on, I want to say it was day 220, I believe was the day. However, there was half of January where I didn't work on it consistently, so I think I averaged it out, minusing a couple shows where it was story and critique shows. I think I averaged it out to about 200 writing sprints. Some of them were 20 minutes, some of them were 30, some were about an hour. So I think it took me about 200 days of writing for 30 minutes a day to write a 140,000 word draft. Right? And I think the process can be distilled into more just creating a repeatable routine or repeatable system for yourself.
Basically have a schedule.
Kind of, but I think the challenge is when we say the word schedule, I say schedule, then people start thinking work, right? And they're like, okay, well, I live my life on a schedule. Maybe I have a school schedule. I have a schedule with my kids. I have a schedule with work. And then it starts feeling like, oh, well, if this is my creative passion, I don't want it to feel like it's a job.
That's actually why I'm writing, if I have to be honest. I'm not settling for what I'm doing with my life. And so that's why I write. And I hate to bring up my word count again, but between June 1st and July 15th, I wrote 120,000 words. That was not work to me. That was not work to me, and I know,
I agree. We're like, I'll bow down to the soul.
We're not worthy.
Work to me. I enjoyed what I was doing, but whenever I have to do like homework, I'll use my TV writing class. I like writing. I like learning how to write those scripts and stuff. But oh my god, it was freaking homework, and that made me not want to do that. I actually struggled with that class. I mean, granted, I still passed it, but still, it was like one of my lowest grades because I didn't enjoy what I was doing. And I think that's really what made the difference, is just have fun.
And I think that's the strategy right there. So like, I think what I hear is that a lot of writers struggle because if they don't feel that fun, that motivation for the writing, when they sit down, if they don't feel the fun, they just won't do it. Right. So my thinking is like, okay, if you can remember, keep in mind, how do you feel when you're having fun, when you're enjoying that, like the best part of your storytelling? How do you get yourself back into that mindset anytime you sit down for a writing routine? Because like you can create the routine. It's the same thing with working out, right? Everybody knows they need to go to the gym, but not everybody goes to the gym. Like there's a reason it's difficult. So it's like, I think half of it is this schedule, and then half of it is how do you retain that motivation in a way that actually works for you, in a way that's doable.
I like the exercise metaphor, because it is very much like a practice and a ritual.
It is.
And if you can if you can find it to sit down and stare at your computer and think about your book for 5 minutes a day or whatever, like that's just like showing up to the gym. My favorite story is this woman who was running, and I hate running. I hated running in high school. I hated running in junior high. I am not a runner. All right. If it was a zombie apocalypse, I'd be driving. So
you would be in one of those 1,000 cars stuck on the freeway.
I would be. That's how, I don't even make it past the first act. But anyway, I wanted to run. For some reason, I wanted to get over that like lack of motivation for it. And she said that like all she did was like for a week, she just put on her running clothes, and then she took them off, and she'd put them on every morning. And then like she'd start like walking around.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'd run. And she'd slowly build up to the point where like half a year later, she was like lost in her own like town because she hadn't realized how far she had ran. So I think that you've really got to look at it. I mean, as much as like the fun and the creativity and all of that is so important. And that's why we're doing it, because we want to express something about who we are, or express something about, you know, how we feel about something. Like with all arts, it's a matter of expressing yourself. And if you're not enjoying it, then it feels like a duty. And like, unfortunately, you have to find that balance between that sitting down, that dutiful part, and the it's almost like giving yourself granting yourself permission, the space, the opportunity to be creative. But I mean, like, once you mention like I write on a schedule, my brain's like, the hell I do. Like, I'm gonna do that.
I write when I want.
And I'm like, no.
And then go look up 100 writing memes.
Yep.
Right?
Pretty much.
So.
Oh man, well I totally resonate with what you guys are saying. I know a couple of our friends here in the chat do as well. By the way, Courtney, what's up? Welcome to the stream, my friend. And let's see what we got here. So Lucy was saying, hello, mine is it's school holidays. I'm just spending time with my 5-year-old daughter, and by the time she's in bed, I'm done. That's understandable, right? It takes so much energy. I mean, okay, I've never raised a child, so I can't actually relate. I've only raised a cat who doesn't like people. Not saying that's the same, but that's my only understanding. But I could only, I might be able to empathize with the emotional amount of energy it takes to be raising a child 24/7, right? And I'm sure, Soul, you could probably speak a little bit more to that. Like,
especially a 5-year-old. My kid's 8, so I mean, I'm past that stage, and oh my god, I've been a stay-at-home parent since he was born, and it is. Sometimes I'm still amazed I can function. I mean, I love my kid, but just there's some days where Energizer Bunny on crack is the only way I can describe it.
Right, and especially because when they're that
energy
young,
out of the room and just
like a bountiful thing of energy, right?
By the time like I would get him like into bed or get him like lunch or whatever, oh my god, I just wanted to lay down and sleep. And like during the summer, over this past summer, if I didn't have my mom watching him, that's probably what I would have done.
I think what I hear from a lot of parents is that they feel that need, like they do want to create and they do want to write, but they also have the responsibilities to their family. Of course, they love the family, like that's amazing, but yourself is also important. So it's like, how do you find the balance? What I've heard, a strategy that I've heard that works from others is for families focusing the week on the kids, focusing the week on the job, the kids, the family, and then making a commitment on weekends for having like X amount of time for yourself. Because like you're going to be tired during the week. You're going to be tired dealing with the kids. Like that's a lot of energy. But I think with whoever another like partner or significant other is, making some type of commitment to like, hey, I need this time for myself because this is something that I love as well.
I'm a big fan of that. Like, make time to be like, let your creativity out. I think that's part of being human. That is
exactly.
Oh yeah.
So if you can find some way to grab half an hour, you know, at a time when you don't feel like,
when you know you're not going to be like drained, right? If you make that half hour at the end of a day after like the kids and the work, like of course you're going to be tired.
You're right.
You got to be intentional with the time when you have the energy to give.
Yeah.
Let's see. Courtney was saying in a month, I got 36,000. I like thinking about it that way. I feel more accomplished this way. Hey, there we go. Good job. Good job, Courtney. I'm so bad at word counts. I like always forget to check the word counts. Probably because I'm so inconsistent. Clearly last week I got like 15 words in last week's writing session. Let's see. Lucy was saying I started my first full novel in March with a writing group and wrote most days and up to around 140,000. I'm well overwritten and just heading into climax. But last 2 months I've barely written. I think that happens to the best of us though, right? Like it sounds like Soul, you've been on a almost like a writing sprint, like a journey this recently where you've just been very, very consistent.
Oh yeah.
But life's
No, I
always
think
going to
at this
happen.
point I'm up to like 300,000 words.
Woo, man, my hat's off to you, my friend. And I think like that's crazy as the right idea.
Yes.
But I mean, I think it's just like when you're in that vibe in life where you can stay consistent, just keep doing it. Right? Like, because you know that it's working.
Mhm.
Courtney has a good quote here. My high school English teacher said, I know when you enjoy the prompt and when you don't. When you don't, it's shit.
Yep.
I think that's really following that creative motivation there. Mare is like, if I need a break from my main story, I try to at least run off a haiku. Then I get ideas for my story at 4 a.m. Which writer cannot relate with maybe you had a busy day, crazy day, and then you're just like about to go to sleep, or you wake up in the middle of the night, or you wake up in the morning, like, it's a perfect idea. It's a really great idea. Have any of you guys woken up at random hours with good ideas for your stories?
Yes.
Yeah.
Never. What's that like? I don't have good ideas for my stories.
You're like, all my ideas are crap.
I take a bath every morning and I use it specifically for ideas. Like I sit there in the bathtub and think about my stories. It's my bathy time. Have you bath? Like, because people do it in the shower all the time, but I'm in there with my like Kindle and I'm like, I can write ideas down that way. And I don't know, there's something about water and creativity.
Now I can totally resonate with that because I've always been a water child.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the flowiness and your mind starts to relax. Like that's the thing that you have to do, especially if you're just like, you got to get over your mind stressing out about being on a schedule and get into that watery, relaxed thing. That's what the bath does for me.
I think that's what it is. It's like knowing what is the path to the creative mindset. And I think that's what a lot of writers don't know how to get themselves through, especially when they're sitting down and if they're dealing with life's craziness. I think maybe that's the strategy right there.
Bath time. Bathy time.
I know for myself, I actually had one story that was completely inspired by a song on Spotify. I literally just heard that song once, and then I'm like, holy crap, I have an idea, and I cranked out, what was it? 23 chapters in a week and a half. And those were about 1,500 words each. At least.
Oh, that's awesome. And I can tell, like, no, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, you got to be careful about what's in your environment because you could pop off at anything. Like a piece of trash, right? And you're like, 50,000 words later. Snickers wrapper.
Keep every single idea. Never, like, minimize any idea, ever. Any writer should have a way of tracking their ideas, even if it's just put it on your phone, right? Because you don't know if, like, that garbage idea might lead to another, like, really great something later on down the line. And like never delete things either. I mean, okay, if you're editing, you're editing. But if you have like a whole section in your story and it sucks, save it, rewrite it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
I've
I know like
that a few times, so I mean, it just that's what happened in the middle of the second Pirates book. Is Kauffman, you might remember I had some issues with that. It was like the last part that I needed to do for my book. Everything I was thinking of was just crap until one day it's like, wait a minute. Oh, I can do this.
I'm on to something incredible here.
Yeah, it took me like 5 minutes to plan it out once I had that idea.
I know Lucy was able to resonate. Lucy was saying it's only the holidays and she'll only be 5 this one year. Come September, I'll be back on it. And it's given me the space to work out my ending fully. Sometimes I feel like we also have to be in the right place too, right? Like, if you're busy 120 hours a week, like you probably don't have time to write unless you're a full-time writer, unless that's your career. But I think it's also being kind to yourself, allowing yourself to take breaks, being intentional, right? Like it's not a bad thing if you take a break from writing for a few months. It's fine. Just come back to it. Don't forget about it. Your characters will cry without you, I promise.
Yeah.
But I can hear them in the distance, man.
I can hear them like, help me. They're like, I've fallen and I can't get up. Oh, man. Okay. So, by the way, Sam, welcome to the stream, my friend. Welcome. So, I think now is probably a good time to pivot. I'm thinking let's hop into our first writing sprint. So let's do one. I'm seeing what timer I set. I think the first one we'll do a 25-minute sprint. I think 25 is good.
Okay.
I realize when I start talking with you guys that I really just enjoy chatting with you guys. Writing conversations is always good.
I'm probably more of a chatter than a writer.
Well, I think a lot of writers are love chatting, at least when they're with other writers, because I think a lot of writers we can resonate with like the creative struggle, the creative mindset. So what we'll do is we'll hop into a 25-minute sprint, but before that, we're going to do a quick announcement. So we're helping Penelope out with her story. So Penelope, I know you've submitted your story through the competition. It's called the Vellies, right? The Amazon Vellies competition.
That's right. It is the Vellies. It is a 2-month long competition that ends on August 20th.
Which is next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, yeah. So the requirements are pretty basic. You have to have about at least 10,000 words, and you have to have 10 episodes. So Kindle Vella is episodic, serialized, so that you can do little short episodes of between 600 and 5,000 words, I believe.
Okay.
And so I've got 9 up there. I've got
so you've submitted 9, and then anybody can go read the episodes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the first 10 episodes of any story, it's free, so that readers can get a sample of what you're doing. And what I'm doing is actually a hosted anthology. It is called The Theater Macabre Delights. It is.
And for those of you who don't know, I think we've read a couple excerpts on some of our previous story and critique shows. Very, very good, especially with Jezebel and her odd conundrums. For those of you who don't remember, it came across as a cross between like what was the Tales of the Crypt, like little Tales of the Crypt, that kind of vibe, very supernatural, very weird within the universe. And I know you were saying that part of the aspect of judging is why don't you go for it? Like how are they grading you on?
Okay, and that was so they're grading on creativity, check. They're grading on like well written, got it. They're grading on following, and that was the part I was hoping you guys could help me out with, because I just am really new to I'm not a big like I'll toot my own horn in small circles, but I don't like necessarily put myself out there, and I'm learning how to promote myself as a writer right now. And so
guys, let's help Penelope out. Literally, I just threw the link in the chat. It's very difficult to follow. You just click on the link and you click the follow button. You don't even need to, you have to, mine's automatically in Amazon, so I imagine you have to have an Amazon account. I was like, I am automatically logged in all the time.
So yeah, that will help when they come to, that's because that's an important part of the criteria for judging, is how many people are actually reading and engaging and following your story. So if you guys could just take a second to do that really taxing, like just hit that follow button for me and read the story. And if you like it,
it's actually a really good story. On some of the previous episodes, Soul, you might have been in one of those shows as well. But I know Penelope, it was actually a pretty interesting story. Like, it's pretty well written.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's kind of niche. It's a paranormal romance, but it's also like I envision Jezebel, who is the host of the stories, to be kind of the love child of Elvira and the Crypt Keeper from Tales of the Crypt. So there's it's definitely
that's a good inspiration.
I think that's exactly what I did. I just slapped Elvira on top of the Crypt Keeper and said, let's make scary stories where people fall in love and are out of love or torture each other for love or whatever, right? So it's a bit campy because I like that. I miss that about a lot of like old horror stories knew how to be cheesy.
It combines that it combines like a certain level of campiness with that like paranormal horror. It definitely feels like its own vibe. And then I know if you go to the I just dropped the link in the chat. You can check out the first 9 episodes. All very well written. Fun. It's a fun little story adventure.
And well edited as well.
Ooh, well edited. I wonder where it got feedback from.
You know what? It was this great guy
Great guy.
who read
Called
it, and he was like, "Oh my god, you just need a couple of little things, and it's perfect otherwise." And I was like, "Why, thank you."
Right here on the Right Now community.
That's right. That's
So
right.
definitely go check it out. It's worth it. Click the follow button and let's help Penelope win.
Become a writer, a real writer, like Pinocchio wants to be a real boy. I'm gonna win the bellies so I can be a real writer. So,
and then once Penelope's won, then she can show the rest of us how to do it, and then we can all win.
Yes, and the tide rises. When the tide rises, we all rise, right? So thank you for those of you who have done that for me. I appreciate it. If you like the story, great. I'd love to hear some feedback. So.
Beautiful, awesome. So I'll make sure that I'll throw that down in the comments again later, but definitely go check it out. And yeah, I think that's all that I got for it for now. All right, let's get a little bit of writing done. And let's see what we can get. What is Kauffman working on? I'm asking myself. Okay. All right. I'm going to throw up some good music. Let's do 25 minutes and let's see what will happen. Okay. So I got 25 minutes on the clock. Whether you're writing, editing, or brainstorming, it's all part of the magic. All right. I got 25 minutes on the clock and it's time to write now.
It's all right. Okay, so it's my time.
All right, writing timer done, writing sprint done. I hope you were able to get some good writing in. What we're going to do is we're going to hop back into, we'll chat a little bit. Let's see how our stories are coming along, and we're going to be getting right back into it. But before we do, real quick, follow and subscribe. If you're enjoying the experience, we have daily writing streams, writing variety events. We did a blurb fest last week. We have published authors and a whole bunch of things to help give you the motivation to finish and publish that first book, or maybe some of those early ones. So tap that button and you'll be alerted when we go live. All right, beautiful. Let me bring everyone back up onto the screen. We do not need that. All right, welcome, my friends. How did that writing sprint treat you?
I had to stop a lot because I ended up doing a lot of thinking and overthinking about things.
Like, okay, I'm ready to write.
I got stuck multiple times and was like, no, I don't want that to happen. No.
It sounds like you get into that process where you're like start to write and then you start second guessing. You're like, is that actually what I want?
Exactly.
I decided to edit the last episode of my Useful Idiots. And wow, it is so weird being at the end of a journey. I don't know. I write really short stories, but I very much fall in love with my characters.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so when you're doing something that's only about 20,000 words each, like you have, it's very brief love affair between characters and writer, right? So actually, I kind of put it to the side a couple of weeks ago, and I got really sad about it, and now I'm sad again, but I'm happy that it's like. It's that I'm happy it's a good ending, but I'm sad that it's over.
Yeah.
So you guys know what I'm talking about.
To expand the universe.
No, enough universes.
And you can never leave the universe.
I'm trapped in Josefina's loft forever.
I think I definitely, during the writing of Last Scarecrow, I think I cried 2 times while I was writing it, but I was so small on the screen that nobody could tell.
I remember looking
why is his face so red? I don't know. It's just the vibe today. As I'm like typing furiously and my characters are like dying and like shit's going crazy.
It's okay, man. Just let it go.
Oh, trust me. I let it go. I let one of my characters go. And it was the most heartbreaking decision of the entire story.
Yep.
Was that Crow?
It was.
Okay.
Gone, but not forgotten.
I cried about that.
Not forgotten. I know. I found out an even stronger way to really employ him in the back end of the story a little bit more effectively.
I thought you were gonna say like end it even more dramatically, and I was like,
No, I think his death scene is pretty dramatic. It's extremely dramatic and it's unexpected, which works very well. How about you, Sol? How'd it go?
600 words, but I had to stop a couple times to do a little bit of research.
Everyone gets happy, like 600 words more than me. But granted, we're also at different parts. Like you're in the writing process right now. I'm more in kind of like the development of the editing. So like I know for me, I'm using more of like the brainstorming and kind of ideation. But it's awesome. You got some progress on it though.
I also finished the chapter and started a new one.
Love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. I know with what I was working on, I only got distracted for 10% of it. So it's kind of hard because I don't have the writing software on the screen. I'm like, oh, I can just go do whatever I want. I'm like, no, I need to stay consistent and get writing done. I have a schedule to maintain. So I got into I'm brainstorming. I'm doing my character development right now for the characters. And I would actually love your guys' feedback on a brief blurb on a Pebbles background.
Yeah.
So right now, if for any of you guys who've been watching the past couple of days, I'm just kind of ideating. I'm fleshing out all the characters. I have currently 28 characters in my story. I had to do a head count. But of the 28 characters, 4 of them are major, 4 of them are supporting, and then 20 are minor. And I think the way that I break down characters, I consider major as in 50% or more of the story that they're involved in.
Mhm.
Supporting as they're in at least 25% or more of the story. And then minor is in about 10% or more of the story. Generally, they're in for maybe like a scene or a couple scenes. Obviously, Pebble is a major one, but I've been trying to flesh out her backstory, and I think I like the direction. Right now, for her character, I have after the death of her race at the hands of the first demon, Pebble wanders the land searching for a solution to her revenge. During her travels, she encounters the essence of spirit, who promises power in exchange for her soul. The power becomes housed in the only remaining possession, a living doll handed down by her brother. Soulless, her identity and memories fade over time, eventually leaving her but a shell of her former self, recalling only bits here and there of some type of revenge for something she no longer remembers. Scarecrow finds her wandering in a new city and reminds her of the brother she had long since been searching for. During their travel, she is recognized by many due to the various pranks she had left behind, but once again, no longer remembers. Little does she know there's more to the doll than even she signed up for. And that's what I got for her so far. How does that sound from like a character perspective?
Like,
Good,
I like
bad,
it.
in the middle.
I like playing with memory though. Like, I think that you have a lot of potential to do some really cool things. Have a setting that should exist in somebody's memory and it doesn't.
A setting that should exist. Wait, what do you mean? Take that further.
Well, you said that they saw things and they remembered things, right?
Yes. Yep.
So I mean, like that's like walking through a museum of you and you aren't you anymore. So there's
I think with the memory magic, I've really only focused on kind of using it as kind of flashbacks for helping their characters remember who their identity. There might be there might be opportunities for me to delve deeper into that. I'm not sure yet. I'm still playing around. It's because I'm developing the magic system. Huh?
I got shivers listening to that, so I like it. Like whatever it was, good like shivers. That? Yeah, good shivers. Yeah.
The only thing I can't figure out is what is the doll. That's like, and I know ML brought it up earlier. He was saying something about researching. Originally, I was like voodoo doll, but I'm like, all right, I don't think I want to go voodoo direction. I think I'm going to focus her thing more around soul type magic.
Okay.
Or soul type ability with what she gave up, but I'm trying to figure out what the doll should be. Like
a homunculi.
Oh, that'd be cool. That's interesting. There's
do you watch What We Do in the Shadows? There's a doll in that one.
I think I saw the first season, but it's been a while.
Okay, no, it's beyond that. Like puppets are good.
Yeah, I think that's what ML suggested was puppets.
I would say, like, just because you don't, it's the whole messing with a different religion thing. Like, if you're going to go with anything between those two, I'd choose puppets. But like, absolutely, if you put enough thought into it, you'll come up with something really cool on your own and just name it.
Trying to come up with something clever. I don't know if it should just be like a doll of like a race, or if the doll in itself should have a special make, and that's outside of the thing that happened to her.
I mean, like, isn't the last Scarecrow also kind of a doll?
In a sense.
I mean, like, whatever you decide for one could kind of vibe with the other. I don't know. Anyway, it sounded really cool.
No, that's interesting. That's actually really interesting to think through.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. For those of you who are here in the stream, by the way, how did that writing sprint go? I hope you guys were able to get some work done. I realized when I was messing around on the YouTube chat itself that I can actually post polls directly to the chat themselves, but I have to be on YouTube. I usually do this through a streaming software, so I didn't realize that. But one of the polls that I had asked, let's see, I'll show it up here. I'll throw up the screen. Let's see, add Sage. There we go. So you guys can see real quick. We're kind of looking at us. This is like a old video, but you can see here. There we go. So you guys can see here. I threw up a poll. Let's see if I can get this without. So I was like, okay, what part of the writing process are you working on today? I was just kind of curious to see what what everyone was thinking.
Huh.
I was like, okay.
Cool.
So got a little bit of writing and brainstorming. So I just thought that was kind of cool. It sounds like we were all kind of doing a mix of kind of writing, kind of brainstorming-ish. Let's see. How was the chat doing? Stephanie was just saying, I just finished the trilogy I was working on. I just have to do a massive load of editing. But I'm taking a little break from it and rewriting my other novel. That's awesome. Stephanie, you're always like bouncing back and forth between projects. You're one of those ones who does really well with it. Let's see. 160 words, not my best work. Totally all good, Courtney. You probably got more words than I did, in all honesty. Let's see. And then so everyone's like, for some reason in my book I've written, always have 7 main characters. Interesting. Maybe there's something around 7 characters that's important to you and or your characters or the story. And then Courtney was like, I almost feel like your book is dealing with battling early dementia with Last Scarecrow. It's interesting. The story itself deals with memories and the capability to remember just remember ourselves and remember people's identity. There's something that I thought would be really cool to explore with that. Let's say, see that Penelope added polls to her Vela. Ooh, it's exciting. You added a poll feature.
And I'm terrible at coming up with polls, so it was really great. No, like I think the cool part was like at the beginning, I think I got this during the writing, like when we edited that part with Jezebel, and we were kind of like, what should we have the theater? You told me to develop the theater a lot more, and ended up like I made as a joke, like, oh yeah, and everybody in the audience is like ghouls and werewolves and stuff, and like you just ran with it, and I was like, okay, now I have to do it. But anyway, so somebody throws a human femur at Jezebel because they're just full of hecklers, right? And like I think the poll question was like, what should she do with it?
Like, okay, she's caught a femur.
She got a femur.
She should do something unexpected, I imagine.
That was actually so fun because my sister was like, I was telling her that part, and she's like, it's a humorous. So that was
that's making light of the situation.
It was great. No, it's a humorous. Oh yeah, that's the kind of camp I want.
Camp Funny Bone over here.
Camp Funny Bone. That's right. Somebody had suggested like IP Freely for one of the names. Newscasters.
Yeah, I think that totally works if you have that like style of naming of them. Like maybe some of them have like banners, or some of them have like a broken hand. Like
yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, and I actually put the main character, like you were reading it. You're at home in the underworld watching TV, and like so it was really weird because I don't usually do like what is that first person. Like present tense, like everything that I learned in like writing school was like, no, we have not reflected
like,
upon.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no,
that is wrong.
It was a lot of it wasn't like the reason being like, well, as a writer, you're supposed to feel like you've reflected upon, like things that have happened, and you're going back and looking back at the past, and you're more mature, and it feels very much like everything is exciting and happening now. Like when you do like the difference between it, so it was just it was frightening, literally frightening for me to put myself that immediately into writing. Like I was like, oh, it was kind of thrilling though too. Like, what could happen? Oh no, but it's gonna
means that means if you're enjoying the experience, and that means your readers likely will as well.
I hope so. It was fun. It's fun to be able to. I don't know. I love writing exercises. Anybody else? Does anybody like writing exercises? Like just like throw out a prompt, or like you have 250 words to describe like what the bomb is doing in the middle, blah blah blah, or whatever. Like I love that.
Okay, I don't like the ones that have limits like that.
Oh yeah, those are the worst, right? Those are like I'll spend 3 hours on those, right? Because I have to get all the words just.
I've done so many of those before. I know with a lot of previous writers groups, sometimes if people didn't have anything to write, they would come with the writing prompt. Maybe I should do that in the future. Actually, should probably come with a writing prompt for anybody who wants to just do a free write.
That would be cool. That would definitely.
I'll start doing that for next group. What was that?
It'd probably help a lot of people because I know there's some people that like they're good at writing, but actually coming up with the idea themselves is not their forte.
Wait,
Yeah,
Last Scarecrow come out of a writing prompt?
it did. Last Scarecrow came. Well, it didn't come out of writing prompt. It came out of an image. Came out of an image prompt that I do a lot that I used to do on the streams. And you guys see my weekend streams. I was doing them for a while, where it's just you get an image and then use that to come up with a story.
That's cool. See, yeah, those are, you never know what
Mhm.
you're gonna get. And again,
In
it's that
retrospect,
whole,
I don't even think there was a scarecrow in it. Now, like the more I look at it, like okay, like I should probably like pull this picture up because I think I've like been questioning myself ever since. Ever since I did that, I've been questioning if it's actually a scarecrow in the story or not. And like I don't actually think there is a scarecrow in it. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna pull it up real fast.
oh, the original
But we
image.
could do like we could always do image prompts as well.
Anything.
I know a lot of writing groups that I went to. They would usually have a writing prompt for people who didn't have an idea. Sometimes people work on their own stuff, and then sometimes people do the writing prompt. But I think it's because every writer's coming from kind of a different background on what they want to work on.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Yeah, so you guys can see this was the image for Last Scarecrow originally. For some reason, like I 100% thought this right here was a scarecrow. I thought for the longest time, and now I've like looked at the image like 100 times. I'm like, that is not a scarecrow. It's a piece of wood, or maybe it
That's
is a
what I'm
scarecrow.
thinking too.
No, I think it is a scarecrow without the hat. This is the scarecrow. Woo, scarecrow. Okay.
It's Scarecrow vision.
Scarecrow.
Focus. I see Scarecrow now.
I can see where you got like the big epic out of that picture though, because it very much the destiny of that stump is glistening in the background.
Well, I think this is what started with this: a scarecrow in a field and a crow randomly flies up and steals his hat. I think that was like the original concept for it.
That's so cool.
So it's come a little ways. He's come a little ways. And then I just knew a bunch of the themes of things that I just also wanted to write, and I knew I could explore it in this type of world. But I'm kind of curious, Crazy. I know you're saying that you're kind of going back and forth on like what to write. What are you working on your main story now? Anything we can any like feedback or ideas we can help you out with?
Well, it's mostly it's difficulties with how to introduce a new character that is because where my character was an alien. I know, freaky, right?
We all love those though. So is this like an alien, like little green man?
Pretty much.
Okay,
Not
right.
Not like xenomorphs or predators, but he has basically crash landed here on our Earth, and now I'm kind of introducing. After I've spent some time with him, now is the time to introduce another character, but I don't know how to really get him from where my main character is.
Do you plot out your stories at all, or do you just go? You're like, all right, pants or plotter? That's always the question first.
I just go with it. I just
perfect.
Go whatever.
Go with the flow.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm stuck with story decisions, and Penelope will definitely weigh in here, or if you're in the chat, feel free to weigh in as well. But whenever I'm stuck with a story decision, especially if I'm working on the rough draft, I have this belief that you can always try like random things. You can always try different things. And if you're really at like if you're at a void, there's one of two strategies. One, I go back to what is my protagonist's journey, and then what is something like an emotional beat, or what is like a character type, an emotional beat, an obstacle that's missing that would make this journey feel a little bit more extreme.
Right.
Or let's say there's just something you like in pop culture or a character you like, you've always wanted to write it, try that. Because you're following your inspiration. Those are usually the two strategies I suggest for rough drafts.
Right. Gotcha.
What about you guys? What do you guys usually do when you get stuck? Any things that like work for you?
Just writing. Like you said something a couple minutes ago that was like you had all these ideas for themes that you wanted to write about anyway. You just needed the scarecrow. Well, I think that that's always going to be true for writers. I think they know what they want to write. They just need that prompt. So my
so you think like from like a theme perspective, like writers trying to like write certain themes or morals or
I mean Stephen King, huge pantser, right? He huge cocaine addict, but he has pants too.
The biggest consistent pantser that we know. Stephen King books later.
Figured out everything was happening in the same world, and that's because he had all of those themes in his head already. And like it's the ideas are up here, and they've kind of taken form already. You just need to be able to channel that, and sometimes it's seeing an image that makes you think of a scarecrow, and then you start taking that in a direction, and it'll naturally go towards those ideas. My thing is, I just write the most ridiculous crap I can think of. Just to
so you're just like, let's just go like something that seems like so extreme, so far-fetched.
It's not going to work, and that's giving yourself permission not to worry about what you're writing, but just to write. So like, I'll be like, I did this the other day, like, you know, I was like, Mary had a little lamb. Like, this is something one of my writing professors said, just say, Mary had a little lamb. You know what Mary's lamb reminded me of? Because she was pure white, like this plot point I'm wearing, you know, I mean, it's just that you just need that element, that scarecrow to connect the idea to the writing. And you can always flesh that out and perfect it later in post, right? In editing. So, I mean, I think that a lot of the times when you're putting that much to the point where you're giving yourself writer's block is because you're taking away your permission to be creative. You have to do it like this.
Yeah, you know? Interesting.
So
it's interesting. Yeah, once again, it goes back to like kind of that schedule conversation of like, if it feels like work, we're almost trying to like put ourselves into a box. Like it has to be this way.
And that is
we're the creators of our own universe. Do whatever we want in our own universe. Like I think that's the cool thing. But I think we forget that. I think a lot of times when we're in it, we forget it.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Or your characters will hijack. I've never had this happen. I'm still waiting for it, but your characters hijack your plot. And I'm like, a mutant?
Yes.
The characters got away from me. They were supposed to get to this point, but now they're flying unicorns in the sky. And this isn't a story about unicorns.
I had 2 characters lock themselves into a hotel room for 2 weeks once, and that's like been the worst of it, you know. And at the end of it, I'm like, we're done. Come on. You gotta finish. Out.
One of the major characters in Pirates, he was supposed to be a background character. I mean, he was supposed to be important, but he was supposed to be a background character. My God, he's one of the most important characters in the book because he wouldn't stay in the background.
I love that.
And I love where he's going, but it's like, dude, you were not supposed to be here.
I think, Crazy, to answer your dilemma, I think the way to get character from point A to B is you should have a ninja show up. There you go. Employ the use of a ninja.
Coming eventually.
Oh, they're coming eventually. Oh, the ninjas are already in the story.
No.
Don't worry.
You probably missed. Huh?
I said, don't worry. I've got some ninjas planned in there.
What about the ninja's rival, the pirate? Is there a pirate in there?
No.
Pirates.
There's going to be a supernatural pirate. Okay, have we ever seen a story where like a pirate themed story that's not like on the open seas, very fantastical? Like, what if there was like a supernatural type pirate, but they considered them? I guess I could see maybe for like space pirates. I've seen that concept.
Like Firefly, space pirate.
Yep. Oh, love Firefly. Love Firefly.
For some reason, what you said makes me think of Treasure Planet in a way.
I could see that because certainly yeah.
I mean, pirates that aren't on the sea, so
a pirate of land. Land pirate.
Oh, Mad Max.
Oh yeah, yep. That's a good one. Pirates of the Sand.
Sand pirates. Those guys are scary.
Those guys are.
I just watched the last one. It was so good. Charlize Theron, amazing.
I haven't seen the most recent one. I think the last movie I saw was Deadpool. Did anybody here enjoy Deadpool?
Which
I know, me
Deadpool you
too.
talking?
Yeah,
Deadpool is
the Deadpool
'Cause
from the main universe.
Okay, because I've only seen the first two, and I'm supposed to see the third one tonight.
Oh,
Oh,
Not the
nice,
new one, but
dude.
I wish I
Deadpool
could see
3.
it for the first time again.
Literally, the newest Deadpool is I still think the best. Deadpool Wolverine is probably the best.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's made
It's
over
hands
$1
down.
billion already.
Yeah.
Man, it's just so well done. It's very, very well done.
I
I was
feel
like,
I've been dying for it.
I feel like those are the guys who sit there and just screw around for like hours trying to figure out script. Like they're just moving, there it's so fun. You can tell they're having fun, like in terms of trying to steer it slightly back towards writing, but like they look like they're having so much fun. And like they're just like being goofy and weird. And Ryan Reynolds just has no filter and doesn't care what people think about him. And like that's how you have to be as a writer. I literally saw that movie and rewrote the beginning of Jezebel, the Useful Idiots thing, because I was like, it just needs more Wade. I even named him Wade in it just because like that introduction where he's like, I'm just going to slam it in your face right away. And then I realized like there's a bit of exposition out of that and that low point. I was like, I will sit through that because you just did the they're calling it the Deadpool dance, but it's like insane, right?
Deadpool dance.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're not afraid to touch upon mature subjects, right? Clearly sexuality in a way that's funny while combining the sexuality with gore and violence. I don't think I've ever seen an opening credits employed as part of the action, as part of the plot.
It was
I don't know if I've seen that before. That was clever. Have you guys ever seen a movie or TV show where the opening credits are used as part of like moving the action and the plot forward?
Didn't they do that in the other Deadpools?
Did they? It's been so long since I've seen them.
I think
I know
was that just like a thing of
something
Deadpool?
that does
he's
that.
the only one that. Oh, I think there's probably been a couple. Like I want to say maybe. Oh God, like a couple of like 90s or early 2000s like shoot 'em ups. Where they might have done that, but like it just you don't see it that often, and you definitely don't see it combined with a song and dance number. Like that has never been done.
Combining it with Backstreet Boys. You want it that way?
Anyway, that was.
Oh man.
I think that yeah. I mean, that is giving everybody permission to just be weird. Like every creator out there, we've got Ryan Reynolds out there raising the roof for us. Thank you.
Awesome. Are there any media, films, television shows, or books that you guys would recommend to our fellow writers over here to check out? Kind of curious.
I know the one story that actually got me into writing, which I just love going back and rereading. There's actually two of them. The Bloody Jack series by L.A. Meyer.
Okay.
And well, that's kind of what inspired Pirates. About this girl who ends up disguising herself as a boy onto a man of war. And she ends up like, surviving, I think it was a year and a half, 2 years among all the like 200 men or something. And the entire series, 12 books, with the end of Wild Rover No More, just, oh my God, it follows her all over the entire world, every bad little thing that happens to her, and how literally she is just basically a leaf in the wind. She can't control where she goes. Everything just kind of pushes her to other things, and it's crazy. It is just, it's like, you are freaking 12 when this starts out. You are 17 when it ends. My God.
And what's it called again?
Bloody Jack by L.A. Meyer.
Bloody Jack.
That's the series title. And then, like I said, there's 12 books in it. I actually found it by reading the fourth book first. And not the fourth, the third book. I didn't know it was a series. It doesn't say on the book. In the middle
of the series.
Yeah, it didn't say on the book that it was like book 3. I didn't know that until I was like, I think at least halfway through. And then I'm sitting there with my mom like, they're referencing things I don't know. Can we look this up?
Oh, that's awesome. What a genre is it?
Historical fiction, I think.
Okay.
Historical fiction, adventure.
So any historical fiction buffs out there, Bloody Jack is the one to check out.
She actually gets to meet a lot of important characters. She gets to meet Napoleon, Francisco Goya, the famous painter.
Ooh, that's fun.
I love that.
See Napoleon's brother, who I guess became like King of France or something, or King of Spain or something like that.
Mhm.
Qing Shi, the famous Chinese pirate. You actually get to meet Mary Wade, who was the first woman of Australia. And I mean, it's all based off history.
Interesting.
The guy who wrote it was in the Navy, and he used all of his experience to write the entire series.
Huh.
I actually planned on
Interesting.
sending him a copy of my book when it was done to thank him for his series, but he died back in 2014.
Aw.
So unfortunately, I couldn't do anything. But I did
send it to
actually
the
mention
family.
his books in my dedication.
Aw,
Sweet.
that's really sweet.
Yeah. I like that too. I'm a historian, so anything that does an easy history exam is like, yes. Like I want to meet all the people, because you don't get to do that in history, right? You get to learn dry statistical stuff about it. Robert Anton Wilson did that really well too with his you guys know who that is at all?
He sounds somewhat familiar.
Okay, yeah, he writes really weird stuff. Like he wrote he writes about like the Illuminati, and he writes kind of historical adventures, but he's a chaos magician. One of the 70s chaos magicians, yeah. So like
a chaos magician.
Yeah, no, like literally, like he's a chaos magician. He prays Eris 23, all that. But he writes about magic, and he writes about just a lot of epic tomfoolery. He wrote one called Schrodinger. Yeah, it's kind of in the vein of like Kurt Vonnegut, if Kurt Vonnegut had a way dirtier mind.
Okay.
So
what's his name again?
Robert Anton Wilson.
Robert Anton Wilson. Okay.
Yeah, he wrote like Schrodinger's cat, and he wrote The Earth Will Shake is the one I'm thinking of, because he does this. Yeah, he does these really epic kind of. This one was a very historical. You got to meet Mozart and things like that, which
interesting. And I feel like everybody knows Schrodinger's cat. At least they've heard of the idea of Schrodinger's cat.
The idea of it, yeah. And it's I think it's also called subtitled The Universe Next Door. So it was when that idea first came out, or like probably 20 years after it had kind of entered pop culture. He did a lot of pop culture stuff too, but he was
what genre does his stuff usually fall into?
Postmodernism, like
I can definitely see that just by looking at the covers.
Is it the one with the cat like bending through time and space? Like
I see that one. I see a cat that looks like it has a human face. I see all kinds of weird things.
He's weird. He's a weirdo. He's a verified weirdo. He writes, and he doesn't do what you're supposed to do. Like he spent like 2 pages of like footnotes talking about a woman's voluptuous globes once, and it was just like the funniest. It was footnotes. It was all footnotes. He's funny. He's a very funny writer. He's a very intelligent writer as well. But like there's no filter on that guy's mouth at all, and he's very weird. He gets into like you can tell that drugs were happening. You can't like
the drugs were happening.
Yeah, like he's definitely like touching the edges of the outer cosmos, you know, but in a very creative, cool storytelling. And he brought those tales back, and he told us his story. Well, he tried, and most of the words make sense, but like
most of them.
Yeah. So I really like his writing.
Excellent. Crazy. What about you? Any recommendations?
Well, the only thing for TV wise that I'd recommend, if no one's even seen it or tried it, is Smallville. That was almost my go-to series for
the Superman origin story, right?
Yeah. And for my books, it's kind of a multiple of different how I think of characters, or how I think where a book is. Like, for example, in my first book, the Raziel Chronicles, it's in the late 1400s, and it talks about how about Dracula and stuff. But I
Ooh,
made
that's
it to
fun.
where I did research about Vlad the Impaler and when
Mm-hmm.
he died, what year he died, so I can make it accurate at least a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, but also included a bit of Dracula the novel, a little bit, and
Interesting. That's fun. So I
for
guess at that level of realism.
yeah, and
Mhm.
as for the characters' names in that one, Raziel and his brother Cain, I did as I guess you'd call it maybe a tribute to video game series I used to play, still kind of do,
Oh,
Legacy
which
of
one?
Kain series. Um,
Legacy of Kain.
yes, yes, there was.
Sounds familiar, but I don't think I played it. Oh,
Oh,
I think we got a winner over here.
Yeah, we do.
3
We've got a
games, and
winner.
that was one of them.
Yeah, there was
Uh,
5 of them. There was
Oh my gosh, that was so crazy.
Blood Omen 2, and then Soul Reaver 2, and Defiance.
Yep. Yeah.
And for that was how I came up with their names, is because I loved those 2 main characters, and that whole game series was just chef's kiss right there.
It was cool
Their
because
story was compelling,
yeah.
and as for another character in a second book named Angel,
mhm.
once again I bring up Smallville. That's how I got the idea a little bit. Only tried not to
Ooh.
go in the Superman territory. Don't want any copyrights going on over there.
Great. Crazy. Have you ever seen there was a horror movie that I loved, Brightburn. Did you ever watch Brightburn?
Yes,
It's
yes,
like
I did.
I loved that it was like it's obviously it's its own universe, but it was like
Yeah,
what if Superman was like evil and his like it was like an evil origin story.
I
And it
loved
was
it.
just
It
so
blew
like
my
well
mind.
done. It was fresh. I
Yes,
absolutely loved it.
yes, very
Brightburn was
much
definitely
so.
fun. It's, I
Yes.
know the founder or the creator of it. I forgot who it was, but he said that he was like the idea was literally what if a superhero
Mhm.
was a supervillain instead, and that was like their
Yes,
origin story.
yes, I
Hmm.
loved that movie.
Hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. I know
Mm,
for me, I could drone on any number of fantasy books, shows, TV shows, movies, sci-fi, all the things. Let's see. I'm gonna give 2. My I think my my fantastical one is a little bit of an older movie, but I love the themes of it. V for Vendetta has always been one of my favorite movies. Probably up
mm.
there with Inception because of the themes that are in both of those movies. But the number 1 book that I recommend every single writer here read. It's not a fantasy one, but it will help you with your lifestyle, I promise. Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits by James Clear. It will change your life. It's called Atomic Habits. It will make you think about habits differently. If you struggle with a part of the writing process with staying motivated, it applies towards writing, towards working out, towards food, towards responsibility, towards anything that involves a habit. I recommend it to every writer because it speaks to the psychology. It breaks it down and it shows you very clear and easy things to do. So that way you can just be more successful. So that's always something that I recommend to all or anybody who really struggles with just staying consistent with habits.
Mm.
But granted, all the books I've been reading the past like 2 years have all been like either like mindset, self-help, or business because that's just where I'm at.
Right.
Penelope, you're muted again.
Oh, hey, back.
Oh,
Hi, everybody. I'm
You're like the Zoom. You're like the person on Zoom who's I can't figure out how to get off Zoom.
I talk a lot when I agree with people, so I sometimes I mute myself just because I'll be like, they're talking and I don't want to interrupt, but I want to act like I'm part of the conversation.
Yeah.
So, and I'm also not going, yeah, I saw that movie, it was great, like over the top of everybody, or else you don't need it to be the Penelope Hartley show starring Penelope. Anyway, yeah, I read a lot of nonfiction book, and I don't think anybody wants to hear about those, but if anybody does, I mean,
for what was that?
nonfiction. I read tons of nonfiction books.
Mm-hmm.
And I love really well written nonfiction. So like essays, and I've got this one book right now. It's called, oh God, it's about like AI, early AI, like 1980s AI, and just people who are really good writers who write nonfiction. They just don't get the accolades they should these days. But it used to be.
I've heard that AI actually has been around for a while, and that the AI component actually originated from gaming, from the gaming industry.
Yeah,
and
this
They had to use early AI for gaming, for the gaming algorithms.
Oh yeah, okay, cool. And
that's cool.
This one's about that, and like, but it's also like it's very philosophical and about what does it mean to be, a human being with. And it's interesting to see the conversation as it happened 30 years ago. But it goes all the way back, and he's talking about like a bunch of nerds doing movie night is how the book opens up. And it's just like, I love like creative nonfiction. If I hadn't found fiction, I would have been a creative nonfiction writer and died in obscurity. So I still might.
It just gave me an idea. I think I need to have a philosopher in my world. I need to have a philosopher in Last Scarecrow.
Hire me. Oh,
yeah.
Like, crazy, you're my philosopher in Last Scarecrow. What's
I love
it.
I think that the wise men on the mountain, or like the guy who can be like, these are the deeper meanings of your journey. Like, I do a lot of psychological effing with people, and I like to make things very journey-like. So you need Jezebel in my book, kind of like, she likes to summarize things. This is what happened. This is the metaphors, and if you have somebody that can be like, or
I think I'm going to make the grizzly bear the philosopher, actually. I think that will actually balance out the dynamic a little better.
I like it.
Just random thought. Thank you for the idea.
Oh no, I love that. And I love philosophical people because they're chill, right? Like they tend not to be too like crazy about, oh no, I'm dying. Well, it's a cool trip, Thanks for the ride, life. Like, but also like they have like their moment. Sometimes they can come off like super kind of like, okay, whatever, Mr. Philosopher Man, what are you talking about? But then they have that moment when they're just, all of the pieces in the machine click together around them. Do you know what I mean? Like there's that moment, and it's just everything confluences into like that intake, that amazing moment of realization. And I live for those moments in books. So yes, please make the grizzly bear philosopher. And I love that image of like the plodding, like, yes, we will look for the bare necessities. Forget about your worries.
We're bringing what's that bear called again? What's the Jungle Book bear? Baloo. I'm going to bring an iteration of Baloo into the Last Scarecrow.
I love it. His incarnation in your universe. I love it.
What was that?
I said his incarnation into your universe.
It's kind of like how some of the characters are incarnations from like different like references. Like we got some Wizard of Oz incarnations here.
Yeah, we don't exist in like boxes. We're definitely all practicing a bit of crow magic and stealing hats and other things that we see, and we're playing with that. And I love that.
You gotta hold on to your hats, crazy.
Yeah,
I don't want to give it up.
It might show up in one of my books. I don't know.
Ooh.
But yeah, we're all thieves. All writers are thieves.
We're all magicians. I think sometimes as writers we undervalue the fact that we create these such like characters, worlds, stories, journeys, whether it's taking place in reality or whether it's taking place in a land of goblins and trolls. Like, we literally create things from the ground up and then develop these like fantastical universes. And like that in itself is a type of magic when you really think about it, but it's so commonplace in mainstream media, and like mainstream it's very common, but I think
storytelling of any kind is the oldest magic of the world, because it once started with paintings, it started with gestures, it started with communication basically, and just it evolved over time until it was such a part of us that it can't be removed, basically. I pay attention to a lot of archaeological stuff. I love history stuff, like a caveman, like cave paintings and crap. I'm always paying attention to that. Shamans and whatnot, people who tell stories like with smoke, always looking at that kind of stuff because we can see literally one shape in a curl of smoke and we can make an entire story out of that. And people have their own versions of that. And then one person can see the same curl of smoke. They're not going to see the same thing.
No.
And even if they see similar and say it's the same thing, it's still not going to be the same thing. So there was a saying, there is nothing original except for what you do with what you pick, or something along those lines.
It's that idea that everything's already been written in the whole of human history. Everything's been done. It's just how are you going to redo something in a way that feels fresh and authentic to you.
Exactly.
That's the
I've
magic.
heard that philosophy before.
I like that. I think that the ideal, I love the concept of art and magic. I believe that there is an experience to be had that goes beyond kind of reality almost even. Especially when your imagination is engaged, or the way that you can cause emotions by hallucinating at a piece of, ground up wood with some symbols written on it. Like there's I sometimes I think that's quaint and kind of silly, but at the other, when you're in it, when you're in that moment and when you're like bawling your eyes out because like he finally has the courage to do the thing that he was supposed to do the whole time, like that resonance is a kind of that not the thing that he's doing, but the ability for it to resonate with me as a human being. Something that somebody wrote 500 years ago can still mean something to me, or a piece of music that was written over 50 years ago can still, that's a immortality in a sense. It's magical. It just goes beyond our normal complacent world. And I think that as artists, like being as disruptive as you can to that reality is so important because otherwise life is really boring. And
I don't know what is life without our imagination and storytelling. Yes. I don't know where I'd be without my last scarecrow.
Yeah. See, and like Sol was saying, like you saw in that wisp of smoke a scarecrow, right? There's a prophecy that's involved in the process. That's just like, I don't know.
Maybe there was. I haven't even touched upon prophecy in the world.
You should. Well, you've got a philosopher. Maybe you need a prophet.
Maybe actually,
I think you need less.
I actually do. In the epilogue, I reference actually a prophet.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
I like
and it's one of the characters that is already explored in the story. It is a character that's already explored out of my 28 characters. It's one of the characters are mentioned as being a prophet, and it's one of the final epilogue moments.
Ooh, nice. Those are always fun.
I know, right? I'm doing I think I broke the epilogue up into 3 sections, and all 3 sections are cliffhangers, sneak peeks, and 2. Book 2.
Nice. I love that big. I hate it. I will throw a book across the room for doing it.
I think I set up with a lot of world building. I think what I was trying to do is I'm like, okay, well, how do what's the type of cliffhanger I want to leave? And I think I leave cliffhangers on character plot line, on some character plot lines, and a little bit of world building.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Your world is almost a character.
What was that?
I said your world is almost a character because it's so distinct.
I mean, that's the hope. I mean, my hope with storytelling is that I can create such a unique world that feels similar to something that's been done previously, while still feeling like it's its own unique take that people can explore the characters, whether it's characters or world building or magic, and then kind of further explore and get lost in. And that's my goal, is to create an experience.
I love that.
Those are the best stories.
Yeah, well, in doing it live already, it has been an experience for so many people,
and I feel like everyone gets to go on the journey with me, which is so cool. I didn't expect. That was definitely unexpected.
I just remember when I found you like writing away, and I was just like, this this dude's just like writing a book on the internet. I'm like,
Although I
100
think in low talk, I think I'm just early
I
to the market. I think give it a couple of years, and it's something that everyone will be doing.
Oh
And
God,
the
not
belief that
me.
live streaming and podcasting are the two biggest rising forms of entertainment that we like.
You did it first. That's groovy though, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to catch up on. It's almost like watching like Supernatural coming out on, or whatever
Yeah,
show
the
you
early
like.
Supernatural episodes, I know.
I love that. But like you'd always get in front of the TV and you're like, what are my characters gonna do? What are Sam and Dean getting into? So what's Crow gonna do this time? I mean, it became a serialized event in itself.
I think it's that my hope that it provides that regardless of what people see, I have the hope that there's at least a single moment where it provides some type of inspiration that encourages a writer who might be dealing with writer's block, struggling to keep writing the book and publish the book and put a better story out there than other things that just aren't well produced.
I think that being the example that you want to show people, that gave me a lot of courage. I'm gonna be honest.
Aww.
Like, yeah, it did. Just watch it. I was like, that guy's just getting out there and writing a book. Maybe I can do something like that. I don't know. Like, not even like.
I think we all
like
can.
There was a not necessarily, but it was just. I don't know. I'm trying not to fangirl out on you, but it was really. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, he's just doing it. He's just, as an example, doing it. And like, it's just that easy to just do it. So like, wow, maybe I could do it. I mean, it was just really cool.
Yeah, and I totally get what you're saying. You're not the first to tell me. No, you're not the first to tell me that, but you're the first to express it in those words on this live stream. And I really appreciate that. I really do. I think it's because at heart, this is the way that I've always treated writing. I've always loved it, but it took me 30 years. Like, just anybody, if you're here on the stream or watching on the replay, it took me 30 years to get to this point for me to be able to be at this stage in my journey. I've always loved writing, right? But it took me this long to be at a stage in my life where I could start showcasing it and figuring it out and packaging it and creating an experience in the way that I wanted to.
And it's great. It's great. Like, it's for somebody who's never been in a writer group before, suddenly I have a community of people I get to hang out with. And that's because of you. Okay. So yeah.
And this, my friends, is only the beginning. So with that being said, because we have so much planned coming up, what we're going to do, this is absolutely a great conversation, but we're hitting that 2-hour mark. So what I'm going to do is we're going to wrap up the end of our Right Now Writers Group meeting for the day. What we will do is we'll be back next week with the next episode, not episode, I say episode, but the next meeting. So yeah, definitely. It's a pleasure having each of you guys here. I know this week we spent a little more time talking than writing, but I think we keep getting into such great conversations. I realized that last week as well. And I would absolutely love your guys' feedback. If you're here in the stream, I'd love your feedback as well. Do you guys like the little more focus on like the chatting about writing stuff? You want a little bit more of the writing sprints, or maybe a mix of both as we continue to figure out what works best for all of us? I appreciate the three of you, Soul, Penelope, Crazy, for joining me and joining us on this journey. This is over the past couple weeks, this is something that I'm looking forward to, even though for me it's part of my daily stream series. I know Wednesdays is kind of like just cool because I enjoy chatting with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely look forward to this
stream. I enjoy everyone's comments as they're kind of like being engaged with us.
It's got the right vibe
right now. All right, my friend. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up the stream, but thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you guys. Yeah, it was fun.
It's always fun. Yeah.
We like fun.
All right.
I love your energy, man.
Yes.
You guys are awesome. We could literally play around forever. All right, my friends. So thank you so much for joining us. It has been quite a pleasure today. This has been a great writing stream as we look towards creative writing on the morrow. Tomorrow's Thursday will be a normal editing session. I'll be live at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Thursdays is our early day, so come join me as I will continue to flesh out. I'll probably be getting into Crow. I'll get into the Grizzly Bears character tomorrow. So that's what I'll be doing. Come join me on the stream. And if you want to be involved in the writers group, drop a comment, shoot me an email, and come join us on the stream next week. Whether you want to hop on camera or just come join in the comments, it is clearly we're having a great time. Come join us for the fun. Or let's say you don't want the fun to end. Down in the YouTube description is the playlist for some of our previous Right Now Writers Group episodes. Go check it out. Definitely worth a laugh, and we get some writing done. All right, and that is that. Don't forget to tap the like button on the way out. Also, don't forget to no, that's not what I want. Don't forget, go over, follow the link, go support Penelope. Go give a follow over to her page. Follow her so that way we can help her win that competition, since judges count following count as part of their judging criteria. So go give it a follow and then go check out the stories. If you're needing that paranormal vibe, it's absolutely entertaining. All right, and that, my friends, is all that I got for you. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kauffman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers.